Have you ever felt that unmistakable chill when entering a room, like the walls themselves are watching you? Imagine stepping into an ancient library late at night. The musty scent of old pages, the echo of your footsteps, and somewhere beyond the dusty stacks, a book that should never have been opened. I'm speaking to you tonight as someone who's wandered into that very library, one nestled deep in a valley miles from any paved road. They said it was abandoned, forgotten, but I found it. It was summer years ago. I'd stumbled across a rundown house perched on what looked to be an old graveyard. The land was littered with cracked tombstones, now leaning into dry, lifeless trees. No birds, no wind, just an eerie silence. I knocked. Nobody answered. Yet the door creaked open. Inside, the library was lined with high shelves, shadows pooling in every corner. The only light was the moon filtering through boarded windows. I felt my heart grip. Each breath seemed to echo. And then I heard it. A whisper, soft and deliberate, coming from the farthest shelf. I wasn't some paranormal investigator. I was curious. Maybe too curious. My head buzzed. Don't turn around. But I did. Between two shelves, I saw a red-headed figure, someone drifting in the gloom. She didn't move toward me. She vanished, just like that. I rationalized. Maybe it was the wind, branches scraping. But my gut knew better. They weren't alone in this house. I walked deeper. Cobwebs brushed my face. I found it near the end, a single leather-bound volume chained to the shelf. Its title was embossed in faded gold, Liber Tenebris, Book of Darkness. I reached. My hand trembled. In that moment, my mind raced. Should I open it? Shouldn't I? I thought of the village whispers. People who enter never leave unchanged. I nearly stepped back. My heart was pounding so loud I thought it might burst. But then a voice echoed through the corridors. "Why are you here?" I froze. There was no one there, just that voice, probing. It felt personal. I faced the book. Didn't want to. Couldn't look away. Imagine stepping away from a graveyard house library, book in hand. You walk back through dead trees, rain starting. Every crack in the wood sounds like footsteps. You feel someone behind you, but when you turn, nothing. That's where I'll leave you, with a book that shouldn't exist and a presence that follows. The walk back to my car felt wrong. Every footstep behind me was almost in sync with mine, almost, like a shadow mimicking, half a second too late. I didn't run, not at first, but when I reached the gate and heard the unmistakable snap of a twig right beside my ear, I bolted. When I slammed the car door shut, it felt like slamming a coffin. My hands shook as I shoved the book onto the passenger seat, and that's when I saw it. My reflection in the rear view mirror, but something was off. My eyes, just for a second, were wrong. Not mine. deeper, older. I didn't go home. I checked into a cheap roadside motel 40 miles out. Just me and the book. I told myself I wouldn't open it. I meant it. But at 2:13 a.m. I woke up gasping, cold sweat. The dream had returned, except it wasn't a dream. It was memory. A village of shadows. No faces, just outlines, watching me, whispering through rotting teeth. Find the name. You already turned the page. I don't remember standing up. I just remember the book in my hands. When I opened the cover, a long exhale drifted from the spine, like the book itself was sighing with hunger. Inside, the first page was blank. The second, blank. But the third had writing that hadn't been there before. My name, written in something dark and sticky. I blinked. It was gone. Just parchment again. I should have thrown it out the window, but instead, the book was a record, not of events, but of people, souls. Every person who had opened it before me, their desires, their downfalls, their final thoughts before they vanished. Then I reached a passage marked in red ink, dripping like it had just been written. The name is the key. Once spoken, the veil tears. A name was scratched below it, unreadable at first, but then the letters began to shift, like they were rearranging themselves just for me. I couldn't look away. I spoke it out loud. The moment I did, the motel light flickered violently. The air turned thick, like breathing underwater. And then, the knock. 3 knocks, perfectly spaced. Not on the door, on the mirror. There was a hand on the other side, inside the glass. I threw the book into the bathtub and poured whatever alcohol I had over it, set it ablaze. It didn't burn. The pages turned themselves in the fire like someone was reading them aloud. And then, the mirror cracked. Not shattered, just a thin, lightning-shaped scar across the glass. It hasn't disappeared. Neither has the handprint. I left that motel the next morning, drove to the coast, thought maybe the ocean could drown it. Salton sea, right? But I didn't get far. Every town I passed, people stared too long. Children pointed. One old woman covered her eyes and muttered a prayer. That night, I dreamed of the village again, but this time, I wasn't a visitor. I was a resident. I lost 4 days. No calls, no texts. My phone log was empty, except one saved voice memo. Just 6 seconds of static, followed by my voice whispering, "The name is not for you." I've since locked the book away. Yes, it's still with me. I tried to destroy it. Fire didn't work. Water didn't work. Even burying it somehow, it always comes back. The worst part? The name still whispers itself to me when I sleep. And last night, I saw someone else holding the book, but it wasn't me. I woke up, barefoot, on cold stone. Not in my apartment, not in a motel, but in a cobbled courtyard, surrounded by fog so thick it felt like a second skin. There were houses, crooked, as if built by hands that had forgotten symmetry or sanity. Windows flickering with dim candlelight, yet not a single soul in sight. I looked behind me. No door, no path, just a street that bled into black. Then came the whisper, that voice again. "Welcome home." They emerged from the mist slowly, shapes with no eyes, no mouths, just silhouettes moving silently around me. They didn't walk, they floated like breath across a mirror. I couldn't scream, my voice was gone. One by one, they raised their hands and pointed to the chapel at the end of the road. Its bell tower cracked in half, like something once tried to claw its way out. I walked toward it. I didn't want to, but my legs, they moved on their own. Inside, rows of pews, all empty, except for the front row. There they were, the people from the book. I recognized their faces. From photos, old missing posters, whispered legends online. A girl with braids, eyes gouged out, a priest with no mouth, a mother cradling a bundle of cloth that moved. They looked at me with longing, like they wanted to speak but couldn't, like they needed something from me. And on the altar, open and glowing, was the book. One of them approached, a man with half his face gone, skin stretched and gray. He handed me a quill made from what looked like bone. He pointed to the book, then to me. They wanted me to write, to sign, but something deep inside me, maybe the last sliver of my soul, refused. I dropped the quill. That's when the chapel shook. The walls screamed, not cracked, screamed, from the wood, from the stone, from the air itself. The shadows surged forward, engulfing me, pulling me back into the book itself. I fought. I clawed. I thought I was going to die. But instead, I woke up.
You'd think this would be over, right? It isn't. Because ever since that night, I've seen people with shadow eyes walking through crowds, subway platforms, grocery stores, sometimes even outside my apartment window, just staring, not moving, waiting. And the book? It's back on my shelf, wrapped in chains, but every now and then I find it unwrapped and I know I didn't do it. So why am I telling you this? Because I think the book chooses people, curious minds, lonely hearts, the kind of people who would walk into an old house and open something they shouldn't. Maybe you've already seen it. Maybe you've heard it calling you in a dream. If you ever find yourself standing in front of that library, don't go inside. If you do, don't take the book. And if you take it, never say the name. I'll end this with one last thing. Last night, I woke up to find the book lying open on my chest. The page, blank, except for one sentence. It said, "You're not the narrator anymore."